So when are you thinking of doing your first match?
I don't know.
So who's number one right now? Is it Devon or Levan?
Levan.
So
Yeah.
how big is Levan?
So he is, I think he was just about 400 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big guy. It doesn't look 400.
I think they said he was 180 kilos.
Okay. Well, I'm 165 kilos, so we're not too far apart there.
Yeah. Well, then maybe I get you in the gym and rip your arm off,
Will Brian Shaw meet Levan this year still? Guys, just recently, as you saw from the beginning, Brian Shaw had a little podcast with Eddie Hall. And on the stream, Brian and Eddie had a lot of interesting conversations. But surely the one that stands out is the one about Brian coming into arm wrestling. And firstly, Eddie asks Brian on when is he going to be his first match, and Brian simply says that he don't know. And just for reference, this podcast happened a bit before Devon went to train with Brian. So then, Eddie asks Brian on who is the top one on arm wrestling today, if it is Devon or Levan. And then, they just start talking about Levan's size. And as soon as Eddie hears that Levan's weight is close to his, he starts to compare himself to him. But Brian just says that he would rip Eddie's arm off. And here's where things get interesting, because, as I said, Eddie asked Brian about when his first match was going to happen, and Devon even commented on that, saying that Brian's first match should be an exhibition match, against another strongman perhaps. So, out of nowhere, Eddie says to Brian that if he is given time, precisely 6 months, to train for arm wrestling, he feels like he could take on Brian. And this might seem like they're playing, but Brian even says, if you're actually serious, we can light something up. And this all may seem fine, but if they are actually for real about facing each other in 6 months from now, they obviously wouldn't prepare all that time to have a match like they had in Brian's gym before. They surely would need to face each other on an event, like a pay-per-view. And I do believe that in 6 months from now, we will indeed have a pay-per-view happening, which is the same event that Levan has a guaranteed match to compete in against the number one contender for the title until then. And the event I'm talking about is King of the Table 13. So, if Brian and Eddie really prepared themselves for a match in 6 months, I'm sure the King of the Table organizers will have both of them very welcome at the event. And eventually, Brian will get to meet Levan in person. So, it would be pretty awesome if all those things came together, because then we would get to see Brian's first professional match. And also, how much of a difference there is between Brian and Levan when they're close to each other. But what about you guys? Do you think we're actually going to see Brian and Levan together in 6 months from now? Leave down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.
Bro.
6 months time. Brian Shaw. Watch this back. Watch this back every day.
Watch it back every day.
6 months from now.